He's Chase Sr. I'm Harrison Graham. Welcome into Chat Sports. Let's get you guys caught up on the latest around the Miami Dolphins as they continue to be busy, Chase, into day 2 of free agency. The big one today, they beef up that offensive line. Connor Williams from the Dallas Cowboys coming over to Miami. 2 years, $14 million. We'll break him down a little bit. Initial reaction to this signing.
Well, we were talking yesterday right here on NFL Daily by Chat Sports when we were live for day 1 of our NFL free agency coverage that we really liked what the Dolphins were doing, going after some of these B-level players who have the potential to become maybe A or A- players and not overspending for some really talented pieces. And we also talked about the fact that Miami now has some good weapons on the offensive side of the football as they continue to build around Tua. They signed Teddy Bridgewater as Tua insurance. I like what they've been able to do defensively the last couple of years. I think Brian Flores does deserve credit for that. But the big weakness for Miami that remained was along that offensive line. So you're able to fill a need and a void by bringing in Connor Williams, who has really put together some good stretches of solid football. And to get $7.5 million in guaranteed money, $7 million average per year, I think it's a really good deal for Miami considering he can play and he fills a massive area of need because that offensive line for Miami last year, Harrison, was bad in a very good defensive division in the AFC East.
Yeah, I mean, you look at Williams, only gave up 1 sack last year. His biggest problem was penalties a year ago. Ton of holding penalties. If he gets that number cut in half, I think he had 10 or 11. If you get that set down to 5 or 6, I think he's a much better player. He's been a fairly consistent guard. I think $7 million for a starting guard in the NFL, that's pretty good value for Miami. I like this move. Quite frankly, if you told me that would be the contract he would get, I think Dallas should have considered giving that. But they're obviously letting him go because Catboy can't figure things out in Dallas. If you like what the Miami Dolphins have done so far, like this video, hit that thumbs up icon. Chase and I are big fans of what this front office has been doing, and that has not always been the case. So I certainly like what they have done so far here in 2022. Another minor signing from earlier today, Duke Riley. Chase, he signs on a 1-year, $3 million contract, one of a couple minor signings that came across the tracker earlier this morning.
Yeah, and look, he's primarily a special teams player. If he's playing every down on defense, that means that you probably went through a bunch of injuries. But as a special teams ace and a guy who can play maybe a down or two on a 4-down set, he's a pretty solid player. $3 million, back end of the roster type guy.
Keon Cross, and he gets a 3-year deal, $10.5 million. Kind of similar, a backup corner that can be a specialist for you. Pretty good payday for him as a kind of depth piece and special teams type of player.
Yeah, so he comes over from the Houston Texans, and obviously Duke Riley is a guy that Miami was able to retain, and you're kind of seeing a combination of that for the Dolphins. They've prioritized some of their own players in-house to try to really build that culture under soon-to-be first-year head coach Mike McDaniel, but they've also canvassed the landscape, and they've looked elsewhere to bring in some upgrades on this roster. Again, the depth that they're adding in addition to some premier star players, that's why I'm a big fan of what Miami's been able to do. The Emmanuel Ogbahs of the world are obviously going to grab some of the headlines, but Crossan, Duke Riley, Connor Williams, those are under-the-radar signings that I think can be very impactful throughout the course of a long NFL season.
Yeah, I mean, you got to fill out that 53, and
No
those
doubt.
are guys that can help you do that. Grade the Dolphins' moves so far, A, B, C, D, or F. I'd give it a solid like B+, A-. I mean, I don't think they've overspent. I think they've added quality starters. They've kept key free agents like Emmanuel Ogbah. I like what Miami has done so far. If you guys agree, give it an A or B grade. If you think, not so much, C, D, or F, certainly an option for you guys as well. You kind of look at the tracker overall, Chase, for Miami, and they've been pretty darn busy. It started with Emmanuel Ogbah, prioritizing him, keeping him, $16 million a year. It's not too much for a guy who had 19 sacks overall the past 2 seasons. He got things kicked off, but I really like the Chase Edmonds and Cedric Wilson signings as well. 2 guys that should contribute offensively.
And 2 guys who are versatile, right? I mean, Chase Edmonds can carry the football in between the tackles. He can get out to the perimeter. He can also catch the ball out of the backfield. And Cedric Wilson, another good player who the Dolphins were able to poach from the Dallas Cowboys, a guy who had the best year of his career last year. 3-year deal, $22.8 million. As a number 2, more so as a number 3, he can be really good. And I thought you put it really nicely yesterday when you said he can really stretch the seam and be that guy who you can target right around the hashes, but has the speed to take the top off of the defense. He had a 70-plus yard touchdown last year and really flashed as a touchdown catcher. I think he had 6 tutties a year ago for Dallas. So really rounding into form for him, and you pair him up with the Jalen Waddle as well as a Mike Gesicki, and you have a nice little foundational offensive system right now with Chase Edmonds in the mix, and now you're bulking up that offensive line too.
Yeah, the Dolphins don't have a ton of stars, A-level players, but they have a lot of B-level players.
Which is fine.
If you have plenty of those, I view Tua as kind of a distributor type, like just get the ball out and get it into playmakers' hands, and he's got more playmakers.
Leave it up to Mike McDaniel. Put the ball in the hands of your playmakers.
Scheme these guys open, and I think they'll do that. So, and then, of course, you mentioned earlier, Teddy Bridgewater, he's your insurance. Similar type of quarterback. He's going to distribute it if Tua gets hurt, which he has an injury history, or if he just doesn't perform. You've got Teddy Bridgewater on a $6.5 million deal up to $10 million, and that's a nice little insurance piece. We should mention as well, Preston Williams is back, and this is a receiver, Chase, that flashed a couple of years ago, has dealt with some injuries, hasn't quite been the same guy in recent years, but a high upside guy, a low risk on the $2 million deal here, high reward. A couple years ago, he played pretty well, a bigger body type. Maybe he can kind of start to put that all back together here in 2022, see if he gets some opportunities on the outside.
Yeah, and that's important for Miami. I mean, you look at the division, right? You're going up against Josh Allen year in and year out. So you have to find a way to at least try to limit the Buffalo Bills offense. Mac Jones, as a rookie last year, without a number 1 wide receiver, was pretty good. So for Miami, you want to prioritize cornerback. You want to build along that defensive line to get pressure on a Josh Allen, try to keep him contained. You want to bother Mac Jones as much as you can. So I kind of see the direction in which the Dolphins are looking towards Zach Wilson. Maybe we're expecting a better sophomore campaign than he had as a rookie because he was really up and down throughout his rookie tenure in New York.
Yeah, you look at Williams, the receiver, his first 2 years, he had 7 touchdowns his first 2 seasons. Last year, only played in 8 games. That's been a problem. He's played in 8 games in each of his first 3 years. He's been either healthy or inactive at times, but I don't mind the cheap signing there. How many wins for Miami next year? 10 wins 2 years ago, 9 wins last year. What are we thinking this year, Dolphins fans? Let us know in the comments. Predict it for us. Like Chase said, it's a tough division with New England and Buffalo lurking right there. And also, help us get to 22,000 subscribers on our Dolphins channel. If you're watching on our main Chat Sports YouTube channel, the link is down below, youtube.com/DolphinsNews. If you're watching on Miami Dolphins Today, just help us out. Hit that big red button and subscribe.